Welcome to Coronavirus Land, guys. I figure that I'll be doing coronavirus stuff from now until this thing blows over, if it ever does. Current totals are at 94,250 confirmed. That probably means we're at like 250,000 or something unconfirmed. Total deaths is at 3,214. Total recovered is at 51,038. So yeah, by the stats, this is more deadly than SARS. This is more deadly than the various other outbreaks we've had in the past 20 years or so. But this definitely does seem to be the big one, or at least this century's big one. But at the same time, considering these numbers, you're likely not to die if you actually catch this. And let's be clear, you will catch this. This thing's incubation period is so ridiculously long. I could have it right now and I don't even know. So you will probably get it and you will probably be fine. There's no reason to panic. But yeah, there's almost no point even going over what countries have it now because it just keeps popping up everywhere. There's a new case in a bunch of these other countries that used to not have it. It'll go everywhere eventually, I think. A viewer of mine, Ranger Aqua, passed on this flyer that was put up at his local Costco, and apparently these are being put up at a lot of Costcos everywhere. We are currently sold out of the following items. All brands of toilet paper, Arrowhead Water, Glaco, whatever, Smart Water, all Kirkland Signature Water, Kirkland Signature Paper Towels, Kirkland Signature Surface Wipes, Clorox Disinfecting Wipes, Clorox Bleach, Clorox Cleanup, Hand Sanitizer, Lysol Disinfecting Spray, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, all canned vegetables, cup of noodles, canned chicken noodle soup, baked beans, all 25-pound bags of rice, and Spam. If you are currently living in an area where there's no shortages of anything, go out and get your stuff now. Be prepared. If you are living in an area where there are shortages, then you should have listened to me a month ago and got your food. I'm personally stocked up with enough food to last like 6 months, so I'm good, and I hope you guys are smart enough to get yourself into a similar situation as me. There have been some rather stupid happenings, though. For example, 38% of Americans was a trending phrase on Twitter, and it's because 38% of Americans thought that the coronavirus came from Corona beer. Good job, guys. But other hashtags that started the trend are Trump virus and Trump lies about the coronavirus. I don't know how you could possibly blame this thing on Trump. Considering that this virus came from China, and the quarantine failed because of the ineptness of the Chinese Communist government, I don't know how you could possibly blame this on Trump. But the New York Times is gonna try. Let's call it the Trump virus. If you're feeling awful, you know who to blame. However, this is an opinion piece written by opinion columnist Gail Collins, which means that it's quite literally full of fluff. I don't get why these news outlets have opinion pieces. Like, I go to you for news, not to listen to off-brand Elizabeth Warren give me her take on the coronavirus. Coronavirus has also caused the GDC, the Game Developers Conference, to be postponed. And apparently, while it was happening back on February 28th, a whole bunch of indie game devs were stuck in the city with hotels they couldn't refund and nothing to do. Also, since we're on the subject of video games, Plague Inc. has been removed from the China App Store and Steam. The real-time strategy game has been taken down due to illegal content. It was in China for years before, wasn't illegal then. Additionally, an Arkansas woman causes a courthouse evacuation by claiming she has coronavirus. I'm surprised it wasn't a Florida woman. And boy, that is the face of regret, if there's ever been one. An Arkansas woman sent a courtroom into chaos by claiming she had come down with the coronavirus, and she is now facing criminal charges for it. She was brought to a local hospital where she tested negative for the virus. As far as we can tell, she lied about having coronavirus. The episode led to more charges against her for filing a false report, obstructing governmental operations, and contempt of court. You know, if you're already arrested for something, and you're in court dealing with it, maybe you should just leave it there, you know? Let sleeping dogs lie. Don't claim you have coronavirus to get out of it. The West's medical apparatus seems to be creaking and groaning under the strain of coronavirus. This is from the U.S. Surgeon General. Seriously, people, stop buying masks. They are not effective in preventing general public from catching coronavirus. But if healthcare providers can't get them to care for sick patients, it puts them and our communities at risk. Now, this is technically true. A mask won't prevent you from getting coronavirus, it'll just prevent you from spreading it to other people. But we are living in a timeline where the US medical apparatus is so poorly put together that you have the US Surgeon General asking people to not buy commercially available products because their doctors will have to go and stock up on their own. But it's just a flu, right? But there's more incompetence. The CDC refused to test first possible community-transmitted coronavirus case 4 days. In the UK, the NHS is struggling to cope with the volume of coronavirus calls. Callers give up after failing to get a reply or waiting hours and even days for clinicians to call them back. The stock market's begun to collapse. Coronavirus crash wipes $5 trillion off of world stocks. These are highly uncertain times. No one really knows the answer and the markets are really panicking. It's not just stocks, though, it's also productivity. Coronavirus could cost the global economy $1.1 trillion in lost income. The virus is already having a chilling effect as China factory closures continue to spread. The latest explosive epicenter is Iran for the coronavirus, and this is a thread from somebody who seems to know some information about the area. Coronavirus epidemic in Iran has passed the crisis level. The country is imploding. Law and order is to disappear in the next few days. A number of government officials have already died, and mass infection among hospital staff and police forces are reported. The regime hid the initial cases, since it was just before an election and they needed high turnout. Let's be honest, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump's doing the same thing here. Trump entirely runs on an economic platform, and if there's an economic downturn due to the coronavirus, it might backfire in his face. 2, due to political need, they didn't stop travel to China. 3, the source seems to be clerical students from China arriving in Qom, which is the biggest epicenter. And 4, Iran didn't close the religious shrines. 5, instead of providing information on the gravity of the risk to the public, they played it down and resorted to the same tactic of rhetoric: we will fight and beat it. Now it has spread everywhere. This is an Iranian MP who got the virus and died. A well-known filmmaker in Iran, he's died. A number of graves are being dug, seem to be related to the high casualty of corona in the province of Gilan. Airline staff collapsing at the airport. This morgue ambulance was reported to have been abandoned after carrying a victim of coronavirus. They just abandoned it. Wow, dude. A clinic in the south of Iran has been torched by angry locals after allegedly 10 corona patients were transferred to the center. They just burned it? Oh my fucking god, dude. Yeah, they just lit it up. Holy shit, dude. Yeah, that's smart. Burn the hospitals that are actually caring for the patients. You fucking idiots. And speaking of fucking idiots, Iranians are licking religious shrines in defiance of the coronavirus spread. Yeah. This has to be peak Darwin Award at this point. I mean, I get it. It's a test of faith, right? It's like, oh, look, I believe so much that my God will protect me. I will lick this religious shrine and I will not get the virus. You guys are all gonna fucking die. Oh my God. These pro-regime people are licking the shrines and encouraging people to visit them. Iran's authorities are endangering the lives of Iranians and the world. The shrine is considered a place for healing, and those who are photographed licking the door say they don't care what happens. I can't believe this is the world in which I live. There have been some reports of Trump being a bit flippant about the virus, saying, oh yeah, we got it under control, guys, don't worry, it's not a big deal. I don't think that he's being an idiot, like that some of those hashtags suggested. I think he's trying to downplay the coronavirus because he doesn't want it to affect 2020. However, in reply to that, you get insanity like this. Leftist Denver councilwoman cheers the idea of infecting Trump rallies with the coronavirus. Denver City Councilwoman was hit with calls to resign on Tuesday after she showed support for a tweet floating the idea of attending Make America Great Again rallies to infect Trump supporters with the coronavirus. She tweeted, #solidarity, yes. For the record, if I do get the coronavirus, I'm attending every MAGA rally I can. I really thought it was just a flu, guys. Like, isn't that what you've been saying? Isn't that what the left has been saying, trying to downplay this as xenophobia? It's just a flu? You're just being racist against Chinese people? Oh, but as soon as you can become a living fucking bioweapon, you're all over it, right? I've never gotten the coronavirus, and I've never gone to a Trump rally. But if I get the first, I'm doing the second. If I contracted coronavirus, I would go out and try to attend every Trump rally possible. All I'm saying is, if you do think you have coronavirus, you should immediately attend a Trump rally to be briefed by the president on what to do. He is an expert on everything, and I'm sure there will be at least a few prescribing doctors in the crowd. If I find out I have the coronavirus, I'm going to attend every Trump rally I can till I fall over dead. Now I get it, right? It's jokes, it's memes. I can see the black humor in it for sure. But it is a little bit different when an elected official says they're going to do it, eh? It's a bad time for the neo-lib shitheels over at the EU. Coronavirus nightmare could be the end for Europe's borderless dream. The crown jewel of the EU, its network of open internal borders, has been hit hard by the refugee crisis. The virus could deliver another blow. If you needed another reason as to why open borders just doesn't work, here it is. Amazon's also told its employees to not do any traveling. And honestly, this is probably a good idea, because if you have like an Amazon packer who has the coronavirus and he's spreading it into every package, that could be nightmarish. Toronto is getting an Asian food festival in response to coronavirus fears. Nope, no thank you. No thank you, man with bat apron, I'm not interested. Oh yeah, and there was this shit, I almost forgot. Iran's deputy health minister, and I think also the VP as well, tests positive as the coronavirus outbreak worsens. Check this out, dude. So he's here, and he's like off to the side talking about the coronavirus and how they've got it all under control and how things are okay. And he starts sweating like a fountain on live TV. And it turns out he has coronavirus. Holy shit. This is the kind of thing that you see at the beginning of like a zombie story before the outbreak happens. Same energy, by the way. Guy who was quarantined and said he was fine can't stop coughing during his interview with Fox. Why would you share it with your dog? Why would you? Oh my fucking god. But forget Iran's vice president, forget the Pope. GTS Vivian has caught and been killed by the coronavirus, unfortunately. GTS Vivian was a prominent artist in the giantess fetish community. And yes, I'm sure there's a few jokes we can make here, and maybe in the future. But it's still a person who's dead. Italy's followed in Japan's footsteps and decided to close down all the schools. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has finally announced its official death rate for the coronavirus, and it's at 3.4%. It's not a crazy amount. If you get it, you have a 97% chance of surviving it. But that's higher than SARS, it's higher than the flu, and it seems to actually disproportionately kill old people. So this might be the end of the boomer generation after all. We have to talk about China's involvement again, though. This article here, Don't Buy China's Story, the coronavirus may have leaked from a lab. Okay, fair enough. This is all stuff that we've heard before, you know. Did it come from the wet market? Did it come from the biolab? Who knows? However, there's an interesting bit in here that we should probably talk about. Some Chinese researchers at the biolab are in the habit of selling their laboratory animals to street vendors after they have finished experimenting on them. Instead of properly disposing of infected animals by cremation, as the law requires, they sell them on the side to make a little extra cash. Or in some cases, a lot of extra cash. One Beijing researcher, now in jail, made $1 million selling his monkeys and rats on the live animal market, where they eventually wound up in someone's stomach. There we go. That's probably where it came from. Someone sold out the Batman. And of course, we all know that everyone, the Americans, the Chinese, whoever, they're all cooking the numbers to try and avoid a global economic depression. Leaked documents reveal coronavirus infections up to 52 times higher than reported figures in China's Shandong province. There is no way that Iran has 66 deaths with only a couple hundred cases. It's not possible at a death rate of 3%. This thing is everywhere, for real. And now we have to get into the tinfoil hat territory, where this might be an actual super virus or something. Wuhan to quarantine all cured patients for 14 days after some of them tested positive again. There is a chance that after you've been cured of this disease, you still spread it around. And that's just how it is. You become an asymptomatic carrier. It's entirely possible. The coronavirus is far more likely than SARS to bond to human cells due to HIV-like mutation. Again, you might just become an asymptomatic carrier after you get it, spreading it to everyone. This might just be a thing that humanity now has to live with. Additionally, this new bit of research just came out. Researchers identify 2 coronavirus strains as the Chinese cases dwindle. Scientists in China studying the outbreak of the disease caused by the new coronavirus say they have found that 2 main strains of the virus are circulating in humans and causing infections. That's interesting. Maybe we are at the point where mutations have actually begun to happen and things are splitting off. I do recall that, I think it was with Ebola or one of these diseases, it fundamentally wasn't humans that stopped it. Nature stopped itself because an asymptomatic variant evolved naturally and then started inoculating the population. The preliminary study found that a more aggressive strain of the new coronavirus associated with the outbreak in Wuhan accounted for about 70% of analyzed cases, while 30% were linked to a less aggressive type. The prevalence of the more aggressive virus type decreased after early January 2020. Now, on the one hand, this is from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and it quite literally could just be propaganda to try and calm the world down or make China look better or prevent an economic slump or something. On the other hand, it might actually be a cause for legitimate hope. Maybe things aren't as bad as they seem sometimes. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. As they say, further immediate studies are needed. And of course, the ACE2 expression in kidney and testis may cause kidney and testis damage after the coronavirus infection. Now, there's a lot to go through here. I'm definitely not a scientist, and there's a lot of scientific talk here. But here's my basic layman's understanding of it. The angiotensin converting enzyme 2 is a major receptor that mediates the entry of the coronavirus into human cells. This is an enzyme overwhelmingly found in Asian populations, which may mean that this virus is more infectious to Asians than other people. At the same time, it causes kidney and testicle damage, which does partially corroborate the reports that this thing will make you infertile after you get it. This is all still up in the air, but it seems like it might be a nightmare disease. But if it is the case that this thing at least somewhat selects by race, or that it leaves lasting permanent damage after it's done with you, or that you can continue infecting people long after you've been cured of it. One of my mods in my Discord server, she theorized that this would actually cause a new form of discrimination to come about, where people who have been infected with it, even though they suffered no ill effects, because they're spreading it around, they're going to be treated like a second-class citizen. Imagine an entire society full of typhoid Marys and like a very stratified class system. That might be our future. And of course, China being China, they're now forcing their workers back to work in order to avoid an economic collapse. Doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter who else gets sick, get back to work. Meanwhile, these Chinese people had their apartment block forcibly demolished by the government in the efforts to stop the spread of coronavirus. The land will be used for something else. And the people who live there, they're now simply homeless. Oh, and by the way, if you're in China driving around, this is how you'll be treated now. These are coronavirus checkpoints. In order to even travel now, you have to be scanned with a handheld thermometer. And then they have SWAT teams in hazmat suits ready to force you into quarantine if you even have a fever. Of course, this guy's a moron for taking off his face mask, and like he did kind of deserve this at the end. But I understand him being pissed, like, Jesus, this is some draconian ass shit, dude. This really does look like it's out of a sci-fi movie, isn't it? Man. Now they're like spraying down the car and spraying down the... Oh my god. Alright, that's all the coronavirus news I have for you today. Even in my city, things are starting to heat up. There have been some shortages of food. I went to the grocery store a couple days ago, and there was definitely a crowd in there. People are starting to notice. If you haven't done your supply stock up a month ago, like when I was saying to do it, it might be a lot harder to do it now. If you are still in a relatively quiet area and you still happen to have the luxury of time, don't wait. Go out and get some extra food. And most importantly of all, don't panic. Even if you have coronavirus, don't panic. It's not likely to kill you. All of those long-term side effects are still unconfirmed. And to be honest, things will probably be just fine. I know the meme is LOL, it's just a flu, bro. But if you get it, and for some reason you're not going to the hospital, or they won't take you, or for some reason you're stuck on your own, then your best bet is to probably treat it like a flu. Rest up, stay in bed, take medication, eat some decent food, chicken soup, you know how to do it. Remember, I said chicken soup, not bat soup, alright? And you know what? You probably won't die. We're all probably going to make it. What kills people right now isn't the virus, it's panic, and you have to avoid that. Alright, my friends, good luck out there. I love you. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Coronavirus-themed porn is going viral. The internet's a wonderful place, isn't it?